My name is Johnny Douglas, founder and CEO for Chrysalis Home For Change, a mentoring development program for young men. I'm here today with Mr. Artis J Brown Jr., life coach, mentor, and motivational speaker, and also founder and CEO of Look at Me Now. Welcome to Chrysalis Live. Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, you know all too well about the situation, about what's going on with men being incarcerated, but also some of the struggles that they have upon being released. Can you tell us your story?
Well, my story, born and raised in Miami, Florida, came up in a two-parent home until my mother and my father divorced when I was 5 years old. But my mother and my father still had that relationship where he would come around the house and do things for her. And God instilled in my mother, to teach us morals, values, respect, and things of that nature. And throughout my childhood, I appreciated everything. I mean, I got an allowance. I went to Disney World and Universal Studios in the summer. But change came. Adversity came, trials, tribulations came, and I didn't know how to handle it. At the age of 18, I found out my father had AIDS. Didn't understand that, didn't know why, but I saw a drastic change in his health. And on August 4th, 2004, I saw my father take his last breath right in front of me, and that was very devastating. I was very hurt, and I was very angry because I didn't understand. And after that, I began to live a life of selling drugs, having sex with women. And I'm not proud of it. Eventually, I ended up going to prison. I was facing 13 years in a state prison if I would have gone to trial, but I copped out to a plea bargain, which I ended up getting 3 years. And out of that 3 years, I ended up serving a year.
Okay.
But it was there that God spoke to me. He said, "My son, are you tired of running?" He said, "My son, I have a plan for you. But because you were so busy, because you were so tied up into things that you thought were important, I couldn't get your attention." And there it was in prison. The first day I stepped foot on Brevard Correctional Institution, everybody came out from everywhere, all my high school classmates. Men that I grew up with, and they was like, "Artis, what are you doing in here?" I'm like, "What you talking about?" "Man, you supposed to be in the NFL. You supposed to be in college. What's going on?" I couldn't answer it at that moment because I didn't believe that God allowed other young men to look up to me, my peers. But as time passed by, I started to revert and do the things that I did when I was younger, things that made me happy, things that I felt good about. So a good friend of mine came. He said, "Artis, we have a flag football game today, man. Come out and play." Without a shadow of a doubt, I was there. And to be honest with you, it was that day when God spoke to me and said, "You know what? You need to go back to doing this. I'm going to bless you." That day, I scored 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
And everybody like, "Who is this guy? Who is this? Who is that?" So that day, I felt good, and I said, "You know what, Lord?" I was laying down on my bunk, and I said, "Lord, I want to go back to college and play football. I want to be that person that went through them storms, went through the trials, the tribulations, the adversity. But through you, I was able to change my life. Through you, I would be able to inspire. I would be able to motivate. I would be able to uplift, but most importantly, instill hope in the hopeless." Because I was hopeless at one point in time in my life. So I started working out, started playing football, and I was released from prison in 1996, January 9th, 1996.
Wow.
4 years later, I ended up going to college, St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Now, Mr. Brown, what prompted you to go to college? Was that something you always wanted to do, or?
I told you I had a dream.
Okay.
Actually, I went to Wayne State College in Nebraska, Wayne, Nebraska, and I was redshirted. And for those athletes, being redshirt is not something that you want to go through. Yeah. You want to get on the field, you want to perform, you want to produce, and you want to play.
Okay.
But sitting down, just going to school, just practicing, that's not what you want to do when you never done that. I never sat the bench ever since I've been playing football since the age of 5 years old. So to tell me that I'm going to be red-shirted, I didn't take that well.
Okay.
So I told my mom, I said, you know what? I told my mom and my dad, I want to come home. And I ended up coming home, and that's when my life changed for the worse.
Okay. So you ended up going down a downward spiral.
Downward spiral, headed for self-destruction. Like the old song, self-destruction. That was me.
Now, have you ever dealt with the feelings of the loss of your father?
Have I ever dealt with him?
Yeah.
I don't think I will ever be able to get over it.
Okay.
But to deal with it, I've been able to do that.
Okay. Now, that was the start of you heading down the wrong road.
Yes, because, I mean, it seemed like all of my dreams and aspirations went down the drain. You know, came home from college.
Right.
Came home and found out my father was dying. Actually seen him with my own eyes.
Right.
Take his last breath. He catching a seizure, and actually he expired in front of me.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, what do you tell an 18-year-old
Yeah.
kid?
Yeah. Yeah.
My question was, God, why?
Yeah. Okay. So now, we know that you spent a year in incarceration.
Yes.
Briefly tell us some of your most creditable moments after you were upon release. What are some of your rewards and some of the things that you've accomplished since being released?
Wow.
Listening to your resume here, it's very extensive.
So does it really matter? Not to be sarcastic.
Well, yes, it does. The reason why it matters, Mr. Brown, is because there's somebody out in our listening audience today that's probably wondering, like, how can I get up and get my life back on track based on my circumstances and how society sees me now as being an ex-offender? So I think it would really help our audience if you can convey to us some of your accomplishments after being released.
Well, after being released from prison January 9, 1996, just my passion and just believing that God will allow me the opportunity to go back to college and play football. I mean, after hearing and running to different classmates, you know, ex-teammates, you know, throughout Miami, Florida, Artis, man, you need to go back to school. You need to do this. You need to do this. One thing happened, and like God say, I will get your attention one way or the other. In 2000, I ended up going up to the Super Bowl in Atlanta. And I was talking to my uncle, and I remember I had some marijuana on me at the same time because I wanted to go up there, and that was my last time that I was going to go ahead and make a drug sale to, you know, put myself in a position where I can start doing some other things. So I remember just sitting there in the kitchen, and I was talking to my uncle, and he said, nephew, man, just imagine if you was playing the NFL right now today, how proud your daddy would be of you. And I said, yeah. I said, what you mean? He said, man, you know, we was talking one day before he died. And he said, man, I wish my son would get out of the streets and go back to playing football. And it hit me because at that point in my life, I was hard-headed. You know, I was rebellious. You know, I was just self-destruction. I didn't want to hear anything about doing the right thing because I was just angry.
Right.
But coming back home and as an ex-drug dealer, I know that when you trafficking drugs somewhere to another state and you don't get an opportunity to sell them, you do not bring them back home.
Right.
But at that point in time, when you're doing wrong, you don't trust a lot of people.
Right.
Because you don't know what their intentions are.
Right.
So I ended up bringing it back, ended up getting stopped, and there it was. I'm going back to jail. And at that moment, I'm like, do I run? Or do I just deal with it? And God said, I'm going to sit you down for a little while. Again.
Wow.
At that point, I'm in the jail cell, and everything going through my mind, I'm asking, you know, what do I tell these people? You know, do I tell them that I'm on drugs so they can send me to a drug rehab program?
Right.
At this point, I don't want to go back to prison.
Right.
But again, I told God that I'd never go back to jail. You know, I was one of those person or people that when I get caught up, I'm calling on God. Lord, if you get me out of this, I'd never do this, I'd never do this. But this particular time, I felt it in my spirit.
Wow.
That this was my last time. The next morning, around 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, one of the inmates came to the cell. He said, who want to go to Bible study? And I immediately raised my hand and I said, I want to go. Without a shadow of a doubt, because I knew at that point I needed a change.
Wow.
I was tired of being in this position. Something that I did, no one else did. Because sometimes in life you have people that point the finger at everybody else for their own shortcomings or the bad things that they do.
Right.
But my mother always told me, take full responsibility for your own actions.
Yeah.
And I had to stand up and be a man that day. Wow. So in Bible study, the questions was asked, who wanted special prayer? And I said, me. And I wrote down literally because the word of God says, write down the vision and make it plain.
Yeah.
And I immediately put on there that the charges be dropped and I be released immediately.
Yeah.
The next day I got out.
Wow.
And from that point, this is who you see. I ended up going to college the same year.
Wow.
September 2000.
So, Mr. Brown, I'm a strong believer that prayer works. Prayer is the answer to situations that you can't get out of. Prayer is the answer to healing and anything else that can go on in your life. What I'm most happy about is reading your resume and seeing all your accomplishments that you made in spite of your downward spiral. Going to college, playing football in college, getting a degree. That is all fascinating to me. And I believe that there is some young man out there today who's watching this video is wondering, can I do that? And your answer to them would be what?
It's possible. I mean, you have to just believe in your heart that you don't want to do wrong anymore.
Wow.
You have to believe in your heart that God has blessed you with a talent or talents, or shall I say a gift or gifts. And once you understand that, now you have to be able to first repent. Wow. Because I had told the Lord, I said, God, forgive me for all of my sins.
Wow.
Forgive me. I'm really sincere about this now. Because there was a point in my life, I must tell you, I went to jail, and Lord, if you get me out of this, I never do wrong again. I'm reading my Bible. As soon as I get out, the next day or two, I'm right back on the corner trying to find out what's going on. Who can I buy some dope from? What robbery can I pull off? But look at me now is what God put in my spirit.
Your program.
Yes. Because look at me now is universal. Look at me now for anyone that's watching the video right now, whether you grew up in the projects, whether you grew up and you weren't as fortunate as others, but by being obedient to his word, graduating from high school or college or getting your GED, but now you're the CEO of your own company. You're the manager of Walmart, McDonald's, no matter what it is, you went from bad to good. Or you may have been that person that everybody thought was going to be a lawyer, a doctor. Mm-hmm. But somewhere along the lines, through trials, through tribulations, through the adversities, you weren't able to handle them like you were supposed to, and now you're on drugs. Look at me now. From prison to college, look at me.
So Look at Me Now is the program that you have started. What is the general focus of that program?
The general focus is to inspire,
Okay.
to motivate, to uplift, and again, give hope to the hopeless.
Wow.
Somebody right now has given up on their dreams.
Wow. And so that's where you motivate people.
Somebody,
Yeah. Okay. I'm feeling very motivated right now.
By the grace of God, I know where I'm supposed to be. In jail for the rest of my life or dead because I was living that way.
Wow.
I'm not proud of it at all.
Okay.
But I didn't know I was going through what I went through because God said, I have a plan for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to touch somebody's life all over this world, and that's what I'm proud of.
Wow.
My teammate told me, you know what? You're my guardian angel.
Wow.
The day you came in my room, I was contemplating suicide.
Wow. This is your
And you saved my life. He told me that.
Wow. Wow.
So it's not about me, it's about God. Taking a piece of dirt, blowing life into my lungs daily after disrespecting his word.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a powerful statement right there because it shows us that God can do anything with your life. And if God has a plan for your life, if you're out there and you're listening, God has a plan for your life. He's going to fulfill his plan for your life. The question becomes, are you ready to take that step? Mr. Brown was ready to take that step, and he took the step, and he made it. Now, Mr. Brown, we want to focus on another area of your life. In spite of all your adversities, have you ever thought about going back?
Yes.
I mean, because of jobs and all of that, have you ever thought about going back to the life of crime?
Yes. I mean, because after graduating from college in 2005, I've had jobs at warehouses making $8.50. I had a job working for Miami Times delivering 1,000 newspapers every Wednesday for $55.
Now, this is after you have a degree?
After I graduated in 2005, so from 2005, 2006, 7, 8, 9, I've had jobs that I didn't want to take.
Wow.
But as a man, the way I was born, just my integrity to do right and provide for myself and my family, I took it. I put my pride to the side because my mother always told me, pride will kill you. Pride will put you under a bridge. But it hurted so much, but the word of God says a man don't work, a man don't eat.
But let me play devil's advocate here for a minute. I mean, wouldn't it have been easier to go back and make the money you were making? You made twice that much.
Would it be easy? I mean, come on, man. At the age of 18, I'm sitting down counting $100 bills, $50 bills, 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s. $10,000 of dope money that I made from a previous sale. Not proud of it, but robbing and getting $3,000, $4,000 out of a robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Selling drugs again. I mean,
Wow.
having 3 dope spots. And each dope spot, I'm making $2,000, $3,000. But I put that behind me because I didn't want to suffer the consequences anymore that came with it. Prison for the rest of my life or death. But with a college degree, I didn't never expect to go through what I went through. Don't you know a lady in an interview told me one time, Mr. Brown, you know what? Because I actually went and had an interview with the school board to be a counselor because I wanted to give back. I wanted to help. Because I'm from Miami, Florida, Dade County, Liberty City. So I wanted to help my young black men. But she told me in the interview, she said, Artis, you know what? Looking at your resume is very impressive. But sometimes in life, no matter how much good that you do, you may not never get a second chance. And I cried. Because I'm here to help, and you turned me away. I'm rehabilitated. I correct my mistakes. I have a college degree. Yes, I thought about going back to selling drugs. I did. Am I wrong? But no, I am a true believer of God also. But I'm human. What do you tell me? I'm trying to provide for my family. I paid my debt to society.
Yeah.
But you're telling me in so many words, I don't care about you. Yeah.
I do know that God is a God of second chances, third chances, fourth chances. And as I said many times in this interview, Mr. Brown, you've inspired me to the point where even in my mentoring program, I want to do better. I want to make sure that the young men that I mentor know the value of staying out of being incarcerated. But those who have been incarcerated, to give them the same hope that you have. Because the hope you have now screams loud to me that Jesus can do anything, that God can do anything for you. My last and final question to you, sir, is right now in your life right now, how do you feel about yourself right now?
I'm proud of myself. Well, actually, I'm going to say I'm proud of God because he's a spirit. And like I said again, there's plenty of times I thought about throwing in the towel because I just didn't understand why I was going through what I was going through. I don't rob no more. I don't sell drugs no more. I don't do the things that I did that, went against God's word. I just want to do and fulfill my purpose that he has for my life. So, I mean, I get weak.
Mm-hmm.
I cry. And for all you young men out there that's been told that a man doesn't cry, run far away from those people. Because crying has been a great deal in preventing me from going back. That's the way I release my frustration. That's my therapy. And after I cry, I actually feel a little more stronger. Because I know God's word says faith. Faith. Hope. The plans I have for you are plans of good. Plans to give you an expected end. So I'm all right. I'm human, but look at me now. So for all you young men out there that think you can't get off the corner, or you think that no one else has done it, I did it. I'm not going back to the corner, and I'm not going back to prison. The only way I'm going back to a prison is to go speak, to inspire, to uplift, to encourage, and let those young men know that you can. You can. So I feel good about myself because I'm representing my Father. He said, my son, I'm taking you through what I'm taking you through because there's somebody out there that needs to hear what you have overcome. He said, you can ask me why, because many people ask, or have I heard throughout my year Christians or other people, you can't ask God why. Why? He created you. He know the hairs on your head. He said, I never put anything on you that you can't bear. So he told me, he said, Artis, you can ask me why. But check this out. He said, in asking me why, just know that I may not give you the answer that you expected. But you can ask me why.
Wow.
And he has been giving me answers sometimes where I'm like, I didn't want to hear that. But in the end, I'm like, you know what, Lord, I thank you. Because you created me. You knew what I can go through. You say you love me, and I believe that. So you know what I tell them now when I'm going through trials, tribulations? Because John 16:33 says, in this world, there should be trial and tribulation. But in me, there shall be peace because I have overcome the world.
Yeah.
He already telling me what I'm going to go through. But if I just have peace, I'll make it through. That's my answer to the question of why.
Wow.
I'm still here.
Wow. When it comes to the general population, I'm very much affected by it as well, and I care a lot about the situations that go on with persons who have been incarcerated and been released, can't vote, can't find a good job, and yet our society still, upon a release from prison, still keep you in prison, walking freely every day. I commend your efforts on what you're doing.
Thank you.
I commend how you are holding your head up, and your faith is incredible on how God can make a way in your life. And I do believe that there are going to be some great things happening for you in your life. Your true life story is very inspiring. One last thing for you, Mr. Brown. If you can look into that camera right there, and if there's a young man who's hanging on by the end of his rope, what can you say to him to let him know that change is on the way, that it doesn't have to always be this way? What can you say to inspire him? You said you're an inspirer. How can you inspire that person?
First of all, look at me now. Jesus Christ, he was on the cross, and they whipped him, and they told him, you're not who you say you are. In the midst of that beating, in the midst of them talking bad about him, he still said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I took the beating for you young men. Right now, today, at 39 years old, with all the things I've accomplished, I can't vote. So what is the justice system saying to me? I don't matter. But I would look into this camera and tell you again, look at me. By the grace of God, my supporting cast, my family, and just my own faith that I believe that God will change my situation. Don't give up. Please don't give up. Hang around those who aspire to do the things that you want to do. Positive things, not negative, but positive things. And I guarantee you, God will bring it to pass. Yes, the devil tried to get me to commit suicide. From 2009 to 2012, I wasn't working. Went on many interviews. And the devil told me to get my brother's gun and kill myself. Because you will never get a job. You're getting too old. You will never get an opportunity to travel around the world like you want to. But I told the devil on that day, this too shall pass. Things will get better. Things will get brighter. So don't give up. Don't give up. And I love you.
There are 5.8 million Americans today who cannot vote because of formal felony offenses. There's got to be a change made, and it starts with us. Talk to your local government. Write into your local government. Find organizations that support voters' rights. But also, if you're a man out there with integrity who feel that there needs to be a change in another young man, mentor him. Take him under your wing. Show him the right ropes. Because there's a lot of us out there who've lost our fathers at an early age and got so bombarded with life and no male role model to show us the right way. So, until we meet again, God bless.